Hey, happy Saturday afternoon, everybody. Good to have you here with us. We have a great show today. We've got Mr. Bart Sears on with us. We're going to be doing a interview and art sale with him. It's been a few years since we've had him on a show, so I'm certainly looking forward to it. And I can tell from those in the chat that there's several people who are anxious to see him and talk to him as well. It's going to be a good show. So if you haven't been to one of our art sale shows before, we'll go over all the details on how we handle that once we get to that segment of the show, which won't be long. We have about 28 pieces to look at today, so I don't want to focus solely on an interview before we get into the art sales. There'll be plenty of things to talk about throughout the 28 artworks that we've got to look at today. But let me bring the man of the day into the chat. Here we go. How's it going, Mr. Sears?
It's
good to see you again. Good. Like we were talking, earlier, it really has been 2 years. Even when the intro was playing, I double checked when the last time we got to do one of these. It was in October of 2022. So yes, the world has changed. I think we were just getting out of the lockdown and all that stuff at that point. So what have you been up to the last couple of years? Have you gotten out to some shows? I see work on the walls. I mean, tell me a bit about how the last 2 years have been for you.
I've done a few shows. Not a lot, probably 6 a year-ish last couple of years, maybe 8, something like that. So that's always fun. It's nice getting out of the house once in a while, although I am a homebody, so sometimes getting out of the house is just, no good. But yeah, that's been fun. And just been plodding along, doing a lot of covers and commissions and some interior work. I just did something for Rippaverse, which just shipped last week. So that was pretty cool. Salvage PI and some odd stuff here and there. And we're in talks to bring Maiden to a publisher. So hopefully we'll have that locked down in the next few weeks.
Oh, that's fantastic. Congratulations. Well,
Thank
fingers
you,
crossed, I guess, right? But no, that's wonderful. But so you have been busy. It's funny. I was looking at, I always like to check out like comics.org to see what people have been up to before I go on there. And it was like, for whatever reason, they haven't been updating it a lot lately because there's like nothing on there from the last couple of years from you. So I knew that there had to have been a lot of things going on. I mean, commissions, obviously, like you said, but you're always busy. There weren't even any cover credits listed up there for you. Those guys got to get it on the stick there and get that taken care of.
I don't know. I guess it's different now since so much stuff is kickstarted and different stuff like that. And that's mostly where I've been working is in the real indie realm. So
well, maybe that might be. Maybe they focus on all the larger publishers first, probably, and then pull in some of that. Oh, well, that's too bad. I never even thought about that. They're my go-to resource. Well, I might have to out there. So let's see here. I'm looking at the chat. Lots of people are anxious to see what we've got. Yeah, you guys do a pretty good job socially. I went out there and checked, and you did a lot of PR for this show. I appreciate that.
We try. Sometimes we forget, but sometimes we're on it.
Well, I'm exactly the same way. So as far as I always take notes and write a lot of stuff down here. Yeah, one of the things I don't think we talked about a lot in the first interview was, I don't want to just like say it's going to be, we're going to look at the 90s, but a lot of you kind of had a consistent group of inkers that you've worked with in your time in comics, whether it was Pennington or Smith or Elliott. I mean, were those kind of like, obviously I'm guessing some of that was your influence on whom you got to work with, but was it publisher specific that those gentlemen got to work with you for as much as they did, or was it editorial? How did those opportunities?
I think mostly it was my choice.
Yeah.
Whenever I was starting a project or whatever, whoever was free and willing, of those three specifically, I love everything all those guys did to, over my pencils or my roughs or whatever they had to work on. And, three very different styles to the inking. And, that was always cool seeing just how they would interpret my pencils. And they all did a freaking great job. I mean, I don't have a complaint. So they're my go-to guys.
Well,
I think everybody has those. Every penciler, has his go-to guys, and I think there's certain inkers that prefer certain pencilers for whatever reason, and then there's ones that they just mesh with, and I think I meshed really well with those three.
Well, that's good. And I can tell you, my internet is flaking out on me this afternoon. I can see it, but it's coming back now. So hopefully you're not left alone here in the studio while something goes on. I've had a call out. It must be the heat. I don't know, because I've been down here for a couple of years now. Actually, I moved the month that we did our interview, believe it or not, October 2022. Yeah, I've been down here that long, but I haven't experienced internet issues. But the last 3 weeks, it seems, especially when I'm doing a live stream, I tend to have a hiccup or two. So hopefully I don't drop out. But as long as you can, do a little tap dance and and whatnot, and keep people, you can keep them engaged while that happens. Hopefully it doesn't. I have a couple fallbacks, in case something were to happen, because it's been bothering me. But yeah, Spectrum told me they're going to come out early next week finally and fix some things. But that's cool. So you had the influence as far as like reaching out to the.
Yeah. With most jobs, I probably, except for the first year I was in comics, the editor was always like, "Who do you want on inks?" And I'd give them, 1, 2, or 3 names depending on what guys were doing, and that's how it worked.
Well, that's good. But now, when I was writing up the intro, you're not quite at 40 years yet in the business, but I did. I said all, and I even wrote it that way. Almost 40 years in the business.
Yeah.
How does that make you? You're an elder statesman now in comics.
It's weird.
Yeah, I mean, what's it like going to shows? I mean, there's because so many, a lot of artists got turned on by the 90s period, right? Late 80s and 90s, and that's what brought them into wanting to do comics today, right? So, I'd have to believe that when you've gotten out to those 6 or so shows in the last year, that some people have to, at least come up to you. I mean, do you bring a lot of your original artwork when you go to shows? Yeah, yep. I would assume.
I don't have a ton of original artwork, especially early stuff. I'm surprised I've got so much here that's going to be seen today. But I just got a bunch back from an old friend who I didn't realize had told a lot for me for like 25 years. So,
wow,
I had forgotten. So I just recently got that back, which is awesome. And but yeah, it shows I take out a lot of artwork and prints and stuff, and then a lot of roughs, because I have lightbox everything. My lightbox right here, I've always had one, so I've got roughs of almost everything I've ever drawn in multiple stages. So I bring those around and sell some of those.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, have you ever had any creators high five you saying it was your artwork on during your Valiant days that got me into comics? I mean, it's funny. I think
Brutes and Babes.
Brutes and Babes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. That really does make sense.
It's pretty cool. I get a lot of guys that mention that and thank me for that weird thing that happened in Wizard magazine, which is really, really cool.
That's that was Wizard, when they were doing that. I'm sure they were trying to encourage creators to or people to become comic book creators or illustrators, whatnot, and yeah, that bit in there was important. Even for me, who had already given up on comics by that, drawing comics by that time, I realized that that it was still something that if you could practice it, you could achieve it, and having Brutes and Babes out there was.
Bill dropped out. I don't know if you guys can still hear me, but yeah, Brutes and Babes was great. You dropped out there for a minute, Bill. I don't know if you noticed.
Oh, I am noticing it. I'm sorry. But yeah,
Neil
that is cool.
Oh, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Oh, here. Let's see. I can highlight that one from Neil.
Okay. When I was a kid, I always had comics. I had an older brother, and he was reading comics, so they were always around. And what I gravitated towards was Neil Adams and John Buscema, and I can't remember his name now. So bad with names. It'll come to me at some point, and I'll just shout it out during this. But and Frazetta, they were huge influences on me, at a very early stage. And I was 10 when I decided I wanted to draw comics. And the comic that made me do that was Neil Adams. It was an 80-page super special. I think the story was Night of the Wolf, and Batman fought a werewolf in it. And I was like, damn, I want to draw comics because I love heroic fiction. So that was the spark for me.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, I think, Neil, I think influenced and encouraged, a lot of people to come into the business because his work was so unique. So when you mentioned heroic fiction, I mean, does that expand beyond, the spandex heroes and whatnot?
Oh yeah, I grew up reading Conan and John Carter and Tarzan, and I was reading those guys at 6 and 7. I just love that stuff, and I really wanted to write, and I love to write now, but I couldn't read my printing, and I could never teach myself how to type, so I started drawing.
That's interesting. Well, that makes a lot of sense then that Frazetta was on your list, because clearly he dabbled in a lot of those areas and probably encouraged you to pick up some of the books because his covers were so darn good on Conan and other paperbacks.
Yep. And he had like one of those first paperback collections of some of his paintings that I remember getting very young. I can't remember how old, but something I always had, and just poring over that constantly was pretty awesome.
Well, did you ever go to the Frazetta Museum in Pennsylvania?
Yep. Long time ago.
Still haven't made it. Even when I lived in Ohio, I was always on my to-do list, and I never made it. So I regret that. But I've been able to see a few Frazettas in my time, though, but not as many as I'd like. I definitely would like to get out to there.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was really cool. I got to meet his wife. Never met him, but a couple of buddies of mine, Mark Pennington, Mark McNabb, got to know him pretty well, and I know McNabb did a lot of card sets and different things for them, graphic arts wise, which was pretty cool.
That'd be a great experience. I mean, I've known a few people who got to be fairly close with him over the years, and they had nothing but I mean, obviously he's a legend when many of these guys were just getting started. So but hey, I saw Carl. You mentioned being a writer, and Carl kind of chimed in saying that I'd love to read a book written and drawn by you, because you have done a little bit of writing, right? I mean, you did some writing for Exo, right?
Blade miniseries way back in the late '90s, which is weird because there wasn't any editing at all in that. I never heard a word. I sent stuff in expecting to be edited. My first big writing gig. And I never got a comment or anything. I was like, oh my Lord. But yeah, Maiden, that appeared in Heavy Metal, I don't know, 3 years ago now. I don't even know. The first story arc appeared in Heavy Metal. And hopefully you'll see more of those soon as we lock down this deal. So
there you go, Carl. Carl's dabbling in publishing himself through Kickstarter, so that makes sense that Carl would be curious about getting to see some stuff written and drawn by you. That's cool. Great. Well, if it comes to fruition, Bart, I'd be happy to do any PR, push it out there so that people know what's going on.
Awesome.
We
appreciate that.
Limit ourselves to doing live stream art sales. Carl was curious, what issue of Heavy Metal was it? Do you remember the issue number?
We only got the first issue because we could never find Heavy Metal to buy anywhere, and we couldn't get them to send us any. And honestly, I don't know the number, but I don't know. I guess I can find it.
Our friend. We'll dig around on Google and find it. All right.
Yeah.
I don't know. If this isn't a career-related question. Carlos wanted to know if Bart was short for anything.
Nope, it's just Bart. I don't know if anybody remembers an old show called The Mavericks, an old Western. And there was Brett Maverick, my older brother's Brett. There was Bart Maverick. They named me Bart. And then we had a dog was named Bo, and their cousin was named Bo. So there you go. I guess my parents love that show.
All right. Well, that's there you go. That's the answer you were looking for, Carlos. I know. Well, my daughter's name is Gwen, and everybody asks us, "Is it Gwendolyn?" Or no, we just called her Gwen. That's what we wanted. Simple, easy to remember.
Up, he dropped out a little bit again. He wanted those toes close to Arthur. I don't know what that means. Okay, he's back.
I am. I'm sorry. And just so everybody knows, there's nobody here at my house. I literally have no one watching Netflix or playing video games online. I am home alone. And I even tried to be smart. I rebooted every router in the house about an hour before the show, figuring I'm going to have the perfect opportunity to not have an internet problem. So this clearly shows that it's not anything related to me. It is something out there.
The only time internet ever goes out is when you're doing something important or watching something you've been dying to wait for or whatever. That's the only time it ever goes out.
Exactly. I mean, it's and I mean, anyway, I'm there's nothing I can do except shout at Spectrum when we're done here again. There was a question from Mobius about would you ever consider doing some drawing videos or art educational related stuff?
I'm working on it. I actually have a setup here that I was working on this weekend, and the camera is too crappy, so I've got to get a new camera. And once I get that up and running, I'm going to start filming everything I draw and putting that out.
Oh, wow. So do you have a YouTube channel, or are you going to just put it up?
Yeah, I have YouTube, but it's, solely underused. I've only posted, I don't know, 8 or 10 videos. I did most of those when I did that Heads Will Roll book for Zoop a few years ago.
Well, that's cool. Well, Mobius, there you go. Something to look forward to in the future. Yeah, it's cameras are tough for doing those kind of things. I could give you some advice after the show on what I ended up with that works.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
because I've been searching, but I don't know what the heck to get. And the $20 ones I buy just aren't cutting it.
No, they don't. You actually, unfortunately, have to spend a little bit of money. Hey, but Brett mentioned that his dad did the same thing, a big Maverick fan, and he has a brother named Bart.
Awesome.
So there are some fans out there for that reason.
I love your dad already.
Bedroom Beethoven's mentions that you had the best Wizard magazine cover. I mean, you had a few, didn't you?
Item number 9.
Yeah. So that's cool.
True story. I asked Garrett if I could use a pseudonym on that cover because I was under contract with DC at the time, and I was a little worried they'd be annoyed I was doing work for Wizard, even though it wasn't a competitor. And he was like, yeah, let's try that and see what happens. So I signed it Whitman, which is my middle name, which I think I spelled wrong because I really don't even know how to spell it to this day. But I guess Wizard was in a little bit of trouble up to that point. It hadn't caught on yet, and they couldn't keep that Wizard number 9 cover on the stands and had to reprint it, I guess, and that really got them over the hump to success. So that's pretty cool.
Well,
I had no name.
But yeah, exactly. We didn't get to have your name on it, but that's awesome. Any startup is going to have some challenges, but I could see taking 9 issues to really get caught on. I mean, at the time they were pretty revolutionary. I mean, I'm sure a lot of us, because that's about when I came back to comics. That you were asking, why do we need a news resource for this hobby, right? I mean, we can, but it worked. They were pretty smart, and they definitely catapulted a lot of creators' careers through with.
Oh yeah, the first few years of that magazine were awesome, and it didn't help that they started right around the time the collectors got into comics and everything was skyrocketing, and they started at the right time, I think, and had the right content. Yeah, no, that is true. I mean, once I bought my first one, I was hooked. I got a subscription. I didn't bother going to this, the comic shop to pick them up or anything. But I see that Caesar wanted to know if you paint. Chip says you do sculpture, so that's something else I didn't know about you. I paint very rarely because I'm very slow, and it's only digital painting. I painted with real paints in the Kubert school. That was about the last time I painted it. So that was over 40 years ago using real paints. But I paint digitally rarely, just because it's very slow and I don't really have the time or make the time to practice it. But I like doing it. I love to sculpt much more. Sculpting is a lot more fun for me. That's what I started out as a kid doing, was sculpting. You know, I didn't have the heroes I wanted, so I sculpted them.
Hmm. Do you have anything in the studio that you've done, or because I had no idea?
No, I don't really have actually any live sculptures. They were all a lot of what had done recently was for Heatwave Interactive. When I worked there, I did some maquettes for the company.
Hmm.
Um, I got photos somewhere. I don't know why I'm
Well,
looking around.
if we do this again, I really would love to see that, because at
Sure.
the end of I went to school to be an illustrator, but I ended up majoring in sculpture. So,
Oh,
and while
cool.
I don't do a lot of that still either, I have I love I love the whole statue realm in our hobby. As far as I don't collect a lot of it, but I love looking at it because it just reminds me of you know doing 3D work, which was always something I enjoyed.
That's
Um,
cool. But I love sculpting. I love the 3D aspect of it, and that's, I think, where I get my body structure from. Where that solid form moving around in space is
mhm.
just awesome. And that's what I try to bring in my drawing, is that dimensionality.
Very cool. Carbon Dioxide mentioned that they caught your panel at Motor City Comic Con.
Oh, thank
Was
you.
that recent? I don't.
Yeah, that was just a couple weekends ago with Lee Weeks and oh, I'm bad with names. Um, God, I feel like an idiot. It'll come to me again. But yeah, that was a fun panel actually. I really enjoyed it.
Lee's been
Thanks,
in the
Rob.
business for a while. What was the topic of the panel?
Uh, it's a
Or
good
I should say,
question.
where did the panel end up going?
I don't know. We talked a lot about our influences and what we liked in art and how we approached, what we do, and we all basically, the three of us, said essentially the same thing in different ways, because there's not too
Hmm.
many ways to do it, I don't think. But we have a lot of the same influences, and it was fun. It was really interesting. It was a fun panel, and that's about all I
I
remember.
forget what part of the country do you live in? I think it's the
Well,
Northeast.
I used to live over in Tampa for 23
Right.
years, and now I'm up in upstate New York.
Okay, that's what I
And it's
thought.
57 here today.
Really, it's not. That's not even spring weather yet.
I know, it's crazy. It'll be 80 tomorrow or 90. It's nuts.
Yeah, then it'll feel like upstate New York at that point for the summer.
Yeah.
Uh, well, that's okay. Well, that's cool. That's so. In the shows that you go to, are they typically you stick to the Northeast, or do you get out?
Wherever they'll have me, pretty much.
Yeah,
I don't mind flying. Um, you know, Anywhere in the states or anywhere else, as long as they want me, I'll go.
sure.
It's
Carbon
fun.
mentions it was Jim Calafiore.
Yes.
Uh, yeah,
Thanks,
or
Carbon.
Calafiore. Yeah, and Mobius said that he's curious if you ever tried digital sculpting.
I did actually a little bit when I worked at Heatwave. I dabbled in it, and it was fun, but it was difficult. It's certainly far different than clay. And whereas drawing, I don't find drawing on a computer screen that different than drawing in real life. In a lot of
Mhm.
ways, it's way easier. Um, Digital sculpting was a lot more difficult to get into. Although I might try Blender. I've been seeing a lot about Blender lately, so I might mess around with that if I get the time and can make the time, because that'd be
Yeah,
fun.
my daughter is taking. Well, I wouldn't say it's her major, but she's doing a lot of 3D, uh, digital sculpting. She's
Awesome.
taking down at Full Sail in Orlando.
Oh,
So
nice.
she's definitely. I think she's been using Maya, and I can't remember what the other 3D program. I know she's been using the Unreal Editor for some stuff related to doing scenes and those sorts of things, messing around with
Unreal
lighting.
is
But
insane these days. My God, it's
yeah,
nuts.
Let's see here. Looking forward to seeing. I guess. Oh, you're going to Terrificon. Well, that makes sense. That's nearby. That's an easy.
Yeah. Yep.
John,
We're going to drive out there, and really looking forward to that one. I've heard a lot of great things about that show. And actually, it's not set yet, but I may actually be at Heroes next week.
Oh, cool. Well, I'll be there. So you haven't. You're not on the guest list just yet.
No, I had a strange schedule thing, and I wasn't able to go, and that cleared up. And I contacted them, and we'll see if we can work it all out. But so I might be at Heroes because I haven't been there in years. I think a couple of years, but it's probably been 6. I have no idea.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's always a good show, and I think they
I love Heroes.
They have a pretty big artist lineup this time around.
It was like 200 or something. I don't know. I scrolled through the list and got tired.
I have no idea. It's like Sultan's 70th birthday extravaganza, with 200 plus artists. It's going to be a good time. That's what. Yeah. So I'm going, and so if you go, I'll see you there.
Awesome. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Grab dinner or something.
Yeah.
Oh, did he freeze again? He did a little bit.
Yeah, just for fun, and they were gone very quickly. We bought like 5 as an experiment to see what would happen, and they were devoured. So, but yeah, it's always a good show though. Good location, the city's easy to get around, and it's definitely a good show.
That's cool. Very cool.
Yep. And let's see. Mobius says that the best piece of drawing advice I ever got was from you on Instagram. Changed his whole outlook on their work. That's cool.
Well, thanks, Mobius. What did I actually say or write? If you don't mind sharing.
I'm curious now too.
I might have to make a note.
Yeah. Marcus thinks I'm treating everybody to dinner. Marcus, you would have to go to Heroes first before I could even consider treating you or anyone else to dinner. But I see Ram's going to Heroes, so that's cool. Yeah, there's a lot of Heroes is one of those places that a lot of our collectors have to go to at least once, even if they're on the the West Coast or even out of the country. I mean, it's just that much fun.
It's great.
So yeah, well. You know what? I feel like I want to just start looking at the artwork for sale because we got 28 pieces, and there's things I want to talk about that I feel like it'll be easier to talk about when we're looking at some of the artwork because it kind of ties into points in your career and and those sorts of things. So
awesome.
Yeah, we're waiting to hear from Mobius as well, but. I'll go over the rules on how we handle art sales here with that. I got a couple slides to show everybody. And let me scroll up to that. So here we go. So anything that we have for sale today, out of the 28 pieces, there will be a lot number on the slide that we show. Any artwork that you claim, we'd like you to email me directly after the show at bill@comicartfans.com. And when you do that, email me your mailing address. Let me know which lot numbers you claimed. Kind of give me all the specifics. As you can see here, I talk about how I'd like to be paid as well. And if you can give me all that information in the first email, that's great. But yeah, don't wait till tonight or tomorrow or anything. I like to get the emails right away, and then we can work out how we're going to handle the payment. Which we'd like everything paid within 48 hours. On some occasions, if there's a purchase you're making and you need an extra 30 days or something like that to handle, complete the payment, we would definitely need a down payment, and we can talk about that. If you've claimed anything, but certainly on the lower ticket items, anything under $1,000, we wouldn't extend that. But there are a few pieces here that are a couple $1,000s, and we want to make sure that you walk away with a piece of art if you're really interested in it. So we are open to working with you on that. But payment wise, we do prefer Zelle and Venmo. Even a personal check in the mail on Monday is preferable versus using PayPal, but we prefer not to do a credit card that way because when we do, we have to charge 4% on the credit card fee with PayPal if you're in the U.S. and 5.5% if you're out of the U.S. So, we try to avoid that whenever possible. And none of the artwork prices that you see today includes the shipping amount. If you're in the U.S., it's $30. If you're outside the U.S., including Canada, it is $65. We ship everything really well, as many of you in the audience know, because I've shipped a lot of artwork out. Everything gets shipped in Masonite, packed really well. and everything is sent with a signature confirmation, just because that is what my insurance carrier demands. So everything we ship also is out through USPS as well. So hopefully that covers everything. And well, Margaret, I mean, listen, if there was something you really wanted, that and because I know you've been in the chat, bought a lot of art over time. If there was something you really wanted, we could make it work. I'm always open to working with people who've been regular buyers on the show in the past. So, at the end of the day, like I said, and I'm sure Bart, you feel the same way. You want people to get the art.
I'm very good with that. Do that all the time personally. I did have a question, Bill. So to claim a piece, they type in the chat that they want it. Is that how it works? And the first one?
Exactly. Yeah. What you'll see is when I pull up a slide, it's going to say lot number 1 on the first one. So what we like you to type in the chat is the word claim and the number. So claim and a 1 or claim and a 2. A lot of people like to, wait and see all the artwork we're bringing, because we do have 28 pieces. So after we've shown the slide, a lot of people are taking notes. I like this one, what they're thinking about. You can claim any piece at any time after we've shown it. So if you end up wanting to wait till the end, and then pick up a few pieces, that's fine as well. But yeah, definitely don't type just the word claim in the chat. Claim and the lot number. And that way we know which one you're talking about. And yeah, the thing is, and I always say this on one of these shows, I typically don't do it with artist sale shows, but sometimes when you're on YouTube, the ordering of who claims first isn't shown properly to those of you in the chat. It's a quirk of YouTube, and but we here in the studio will actually see everything coming in the right order. So when two people literally hit it close to the same moment, both of them are actually going to see it in YouTube as if theirs was first. But we'll actually see which one really was first, because the studio here actually timestamps everything coming in. It's a little funny, because sometimes somebody feels like they got it when in fact they didn't. But it's a quirk of YouTube. And before I even do the first piece too, one more thing, please, on YouTube. If you're on a desktop computer, you can either hit refresh on your browser, or right underneath the word Sears there, in the lower left-hand corner, there is the word live on YouTube. Click live. That'll move you as close to real time as we are here in the studio. We're about 4 or 5 seconds ahead of the live stream, but depending on whether you're internet buffered, like you've seen happen to me a few times, you could be 8 or 10 seconds behind everybody else in the chat because of that. So clicking the word live or refreshing your browser gets you as close to real time as possible. So that, because the other thing that'll happen is if you're lagging, when we show a piece of art, you'll see people claim it before it even shows up on the screen for you. So, and that gets frustrating. We don't like having that go on either. All right, so so I think we're good, right, Bart? I think we are ready to dive into this. So I don't have a specific. The way I ordered everything is I actually just ordered it. I wouldn't say alphabetically, but sort of alphabetically based on how the files were named, which kind of grouped them together in an interesting way. So it's not like I'm showing all DC, then then a few Marvel, then some Valiant. It's more alphabetically. So we're actually going to be starting off with those.
Oh, we lost him for a minute. Hopefully not a minute.
Take a look at the first piece, Lot 1, which was the Hawkeye piece, and these were done a few years ago. So.
Yep. Hawkeye. I did a whole set of Avengers in this style, fully finished pencils. Of course, I never fill in blacks, so there won't be any blacks filled in, but that's what they look like.
And what were these done for?
They're actually for a private collector, and they made their way back to me. So, yeah, it was a private commission. I think you dropped out again.
Strangely, everything looks fine on my side, Bart, but
that's right.
So this was part of the set that the private collector had in their possession that came back.
Yep, I got them all back but one, and right. I don't know where that one is. I can't remember which one it is. Maybe Cap.
Ah, that would make sense.
Yeah. Original Avengers, or whatever this team was. I think it was nearly original, but it wasn't the first Avengers because that had different characters. But yeah, I love the Avengers. One of my favorite groups, one of my favorite teams. I really love that original Iron Man.
Well, we're going to see an Iron Man in a few lots here. I think I saw one of the people watching this this afternoon, Carl, who we were chatting with earlier. He said that he's actually using airplane Wi-Fi right now to watch the show. So that's dedication. We all appreciate that.
Amazing.
Let's see. And hey, you know, before I hit the second piece, I'll just go ahead and show this. That one comment came back from Mobius. He said that I always struggled with creating a comic style, but Bart said he adapts his base style to the specific story, horror, westerns, you know, and those sorts of things. So, so maybe just the idea of adapting your style to meet, you know, to meet the story, what the story demands. You know, is the way to approach it. That's an interesting thing to say when you think artists really would like to prefer to stick to a style, you know, versus kind of bending a little bit.
For me, my style has always been the underdrawing. You know, how I structure things, how I lay things out, how I see things. The line work I put over it has never mattered to me. You know, it's just, you know, whatever I think the story should look like. If it needs heavy blacks, if it needs, you know, superhero stuff, I tend to do more open line and you know, less lighting on. You know, horror stuff, you know, needs some heavy blacks and sometimes heavy rendering. You know, it just depends on how I feel about the story, but I've never been really concerned about the final line work. You know, that is project by project to me.
Got it. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that, Mobius.
Yeah, thanks, man.
All right. Well, here, well, actually, I thought it was the Iron Man was a couple away, but it isn't. It's actually lot number 2. See, I'm going alphabetically. Hawkeye before Iron Man. So, so here's the Iron Man piece. It's on 8.5 by 12 3/4. And I mean, I love your pencils, Bart.
Thank you.
Yeah, they're fluid. Your style is just so unique, and it really comes through on this one.
Yeah, something about me and metal has always clicked. It was rough at first starting on Justice League, but we'll talk about that, I guess, when Justice League comes up. But metal's fun. And I like doing it differently on different characters.
Well, this turned out great. And it's cool that you got it back. I mean, again, these are, I think it was 2010 that they're dated. So that's why I should have asked in advance, you know, the story behind some of these.
It's all right to discover it now. And
exactly.
I remember.
Let's see here. So, like I said, we've got 5 of these. So, lot 3 is a Scarlet Witch, and again,
she's fun. She appeared in a Captain America, a 4-issue story I did, and it was a blast drawing her. She's a fun character. Yeah, Chip, my Silver Surfer rules. Oh, I thought you meant rules like I had different rules for that, which I do, but I see what you mean now. God. That's what happens when you leave me alone to talk.
You know, in a metallic way, different than you would have handled Iron Man. I mean, you definitely were thinking about them differently.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Yep. And EXO differently as well. Silver Surfers, I tried to give it more of a silvery look rather than a chrome or a high sheen metallic look, which Iron Man has. And EXO, oh man, that first out costume, man, I went nuts on that with metal. But it's a lot of fun, but it was a lot of work. EXO is a lot of work.
Yeah, Carl mentions that EXO and Turok are your are his favorite characters from your.
What a fun run! Too short. Thanks, Carl. Yeah, Chip, not quick at all.
Well, that so Scarlet Witch is out there. So we have lot number 4 next. That is it's Thor.
The mighty one.
Yeah, he's pretty tough looking in this one. I like the pose on it. So this one's on the same board size as the other 4 that we've shown so far, and cool. I would, it'd be cool to see how you ended up using these.
Such a blast. I actually did for the original commission. I did the Avengers logo in pencil too, and then I combined them digitally, so they're all rising up behind the logo. That's pretty cool.
I would have liked to have seen that. Was it published?
No, just it was probably online at some point, but I'll have to post it again. But it's a blast. I would love to do a Thor book. It'd be awesome. As long as you have this costume.
Right. Oh, here we go. The Father's Day is next week, Jason. You're absolutely right about that. So lot 5 is the Vision. I think this is the last one from that set.
Mm-hmm.
Now on stuff like this part, I mean, this is kind of like, as far as you were talking about earlier in your processes, you like to do a lot of pre-drawing, of the characters before you would, ink them and put them on a light box. So is this kind of exemplary from that approach?
This, I wouldn't ink this tight for myself or pencil this tight for myself, but to send other people, yeah, this would be it. And this was all light boxed. So this was, drawn small until I was happy with it, blown up and light boxed off onto Bristol.
Very nice. Well, we're going to move into Remarkable. And, when we talk
little Conan fun. That one was done specifically for this sale. I love Conan. I can't get enough of drawing him. And my nod to the master Barry Smith is that necklace, which he gave Conan in the original comic, or in some of the original comics anyways. But yeah, I can't go wrong with Conan. Been lucky to be able to draw him.
Yeah, I understand. And my internet is just up and down right now, Bart. I hate to tell you that.
It happens.
No, it doesn't. It shouldn't happen right now. I'm a little disappointed. But this piece was done for kind of, I see, even Carl says a great homage to Barry Windsor Smith in terms of the detail. This was done more for fun. I mean, is this something that you get out there? I mean,
just I wanted to do, and so I did it to make sure I'd have it ready for this sale, because I'd like to have some original pieces in a sale like this as well. And Conan's just too much fun. Any chance to draw him, I jump at it.
Well, like #1 Marvel fan mentioned, it's cover quality. I mean, I think it deserves to be published, right? And I know there's some new Conan books that are on the horizon. I think coming out or just been.
I've heard some talk, but I haven't been in contact with those guys. I don't really know who that is at all, but that'd be fun. I'd love to do Conan. That would be great.
Agreed. And Tony says quite the body count on this piece, but their bodies are missing.
Yeah, so. Quite the head count, really.
Exactly.
But, yeah, I just I can't stop drawing heads too. So there you
right.
go.
I think that in that show we had 2 years ago, I think there was like a stack of them. I can't remember which piece of art that was, but you're right. Beheadings are definitely.
Oh yeah, and the cover from Heads Will Roll.
That's right. That's
pile of heads. That was a blast.
Here's an appropriate comment from Margaret where she says, I think that my favorite part of Bart's work is the proportions that you give to the male characters.
Oh, thank you, Margaret. I try to give each of them a different proportion if I can. I'm always concerned with the silhouette of a character, and no silhouette, no two silhouettes should look the same. Part of that's how they stand, how they move, and part of it's their body structure.
Oh, this one's fantastic. So this is lot 6. So now we're gonna get into some published works now. So now this is from something that I have to say I've never read. Cops. I wasn't familiar with it, and I didn't get a chance to read anything ahead of it, but ahead of our show today. But so this is on 11 by 17. It's the cover to Cops 3, priced at $1,500. And tell me a bit about this book and how you got.
After my first little stint in comics and doing some illustration, I got hired by Hasbro, and after doing a couple of weeks on G.I. Joe, Hasbro handed me a concept called Cops and Crooks to develop into a toy line, and I did so and designed all these characters, and DC came up to do the comic adaptation, and the marketing guy, Kirk Bazigian, great guy, he knew I'd come from comics and loved comics, so he asked me to bring, sit in and bring my portfolio, which I did, and Andy Helfer and Doug Munch came up, and they looked at my portfolio, and Andy offered me work that day. So as soon as that was official, I quit Hasbro and started doing comics.
Wow.
And that's how, and my first job at DC was drawing Cops. And it was weird because my first job was drawing Cops number 4. And I finished that, and he said, all right, here's Cops number 3. I was like, I just did 4. And he said, yeah, we're still a little slow on the first issue, so I need you to do issue 3 now. And I was like, all right. So kind of weird and kind of indicative of how comics were back in the day, but it was a lot of fun. And it was interesting getting to draw characters I actually created or designed anyways.
Right.
All the writing on them and naming, but it was a blast.
What was your time with Hasbro like? Or how long of a stint was that?
I worked there for a year to the day, strangely. And I did, I think, 2 years of Cops there and some wrestling stuff and G.I. Joe stuff. And then I designed a 3rd year of Cops, which was never produced. I did that freelance for them after I left. But Hasbro, it was a fun company. And actually, my buddy Mark Pennington, hooked me up with that job there. He introduced me around, and I did some G.I. Joe paintings. That's when I last did paintings. It wasn't at Hubert School. It was for Hasbro for G.I. Joe. I did a bunch of concept paintings for them of characters, and they liked that stuff and knew I could draw, so they brought me in to help out at Boys Toys.
Well, that's pretty cool. I did not know about the Hasbro background.
Yeah, I did a lot of toy work. I did 3 years of Marvel X-Men toys for Toy Biz in the early 90s.
Oh, well, that explains Ezekiel's question about did you do the build what the figure apocalypse for the Toy Biz? Was that yours?
Yeah, I did a bunch for 3 years there, and that was a lot of fun doing the 3 views. Something I've always enjoyed is, and something I've brought in my art style is making sure a character looks the same from any angle, and all his details look the same from any angle. And it made it, I won't say easy to do turnarounds for those crazy designs that were being drawn in comics that day, but I was certainly able to figure them out, and I had free reign to make it look right from every angle. So that was pretty fun.
Well, Jeremy had a question about, did you work on any of the Mortal Kombat for Hasbro? No?
Nope. Just WWF stuff. I did a bunch of that stuff for Hasbro, but nothing Mortal Kombat. This was back in the mid '80s.
Okay. Right, because you're
Mortal
was
Kombat
Cops
existed.
86. I think Cops was
Pardon?
around 80. Was Cops in
Yeah.
86? Yeah.
I think so. I think I started there in '86. I think I worked like '86 to '87. I
Okay.
can't remember the exact start and end date, but something like that.
All right. Well, we have a Cops interior as well from issue 4. Like you were just saying, this was your first, right? Before they covered issue 3.
Yep. Yep. This was it's a fun page because pretty much every character in the Cops lineup is on this page, both the good guys and the bad. And there were no female toys ever made. The once I had gotten the designs done, they hired an animation firm or partnered. I don't know how the deal worked with an animation firm to do the Cops cartoon, and they added the female characters. They designed them and added them into the cartoon. Fighting crime in a future time.
Was that the tagline?
Yep.
All right.
It's a fun
I'm gonna
show.
have to go back and I'm gonna have to educate myself on Cops. But yeah, I like that second panel and the fourth one with the group shots in there. Those are great. So this was lot 8, 11 by 17, priced to $400. And let's see, we're moving into something a little different on lot number 9, which is something, Eclipso. And I've read a little bit about Eclipso, The Darkness Within. I mean, this was a 2-issue limited series, right? So this one's priced at $600, 11 by 17, and you got a lot of characters on this one.
Oh yeah, it was full of them. This is the second big crossover I got to do for DC. The first one was the third issue of Invasion, when McFarlane left DC to go do Spider-Man. He left a hole, and I had to do the third issue, which was great. It was a good introduction to DC Comics, let me tell you. And then, which I did. I did an issue of Spirit and then Invasion. And then this came up after my run on Justice League in the first Dark Knight story I did. So this was great, 2 issues, and they were monsters, 280 pagers. It was nuts. And, but yeah, a little different style here too. I was playing with, but it was great getting to draw all these guys. I drew between those 2 books. I drew, I think, probably everyone that existed in the at least common DC universe at that point, which was great.
Yeah, I did read the 2 issues before the show. There were a lot of characters in there, and there's some YouTube videos about this. I guess Eclipso was a controversial, character, to a certain degree, I guess, from people who were fans of that period. But I have to say, Margaret Lee got her claim in ahead of Chips here for this lot 9. So congratulations, Margaret. We'll chat after the show, but nice pickup.
Thank you, Margaret. Sorry, Chip.
There is more artwork to look at. So let's see. Moving on from this one. Let's see. Lot number 10. So this is not published, of course, but a sketch cover by you, Hellboy. Lot 10, price of $7. Yeah, I mean, just because of the mix of horror and
yeah, and I just love his design. Mignola is just awesome, and the way he designed this guy and just the whole character, I just freaking love. And so I just at some point had the urge to do this on a sketch cover, so I had to do it.
Well, it came out nice. I like the fact that you went up into the logo like that with the smoke in his head and his gun and all that. That was good.
Yeah, it's fun taking the white out, whitening out the logo after you figure out your design and drawing over it. I think it ties together better usually on a sketch cover.
When you're at shows, do you get asked to do a lot of sketch covers, or do you bring them, intentionally? Or
I do very few at shows because of the time it takes me.
Yeah.
But occasionally, mostly they're done, separately through the mail.
Cool. Well, this is a very nice one. Priced at $750, and it's lot number 10. So back over to our, I think, mostly published work for the rest of the show. We've got lot number 11 here. This is from Hero Alliance, End of the Golden Age, issue 1, page 10, priced to $700. Again, this was didn't get to read the whole thing, but I read up to this page. Pretty interesting story.
Yep. This was God, when did this was before Hasbro, I think. Yeah. This was before I worked at Hasbro. I had worked at Marvel, and I didn't like the stuff I did and the deadlines that they had. So I stopped stopped working with Marvel and did some stuff for TSR, some illustration stuff, and was working on the G.I. Joe stuff. And then this came along, and Hero Alliance, small company that was, trying to get something going. So I did a bunch of work for them. But again, I was still too slow for the quality that I wanted to get in a page. And that's why I took the job at Hasbro. Was, I just didn't think I could make a living at that point in comics. But a year working at Hasbro, really, things started to click in my mind. So that really helped me. But this was in that period in between there. I think this was printed a couple different times. And I think the pages I did were split up into different books. But I did a bunch of covers for them as well.
It's a very nice page. It's got a few of the word balloons are missing on it. I think that's the city, might be that image in the center of the cityscape might be either as a stat or a pay stuff, I think. But yeah, it's a beautiful page. It's got a little zipatone on it, so very nice.
Yeah, I kind of love how these old pages look with the paste ups and the glue and all that stuff. I mean, it's not necessarily pretty, but I think it's cool, actually. Reminds me of looking at stuff when I went to the Q-Word school, and they'd have all that old art on the walls, all that great art with paste ups on it, and the glue's all this color. I just love that stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I would never clean a piece like this. It's nice to see. All right, lot number 12 is next from JLE. This is from issue 17, page 13. And I did try to find the printed image from most of these. So this one's priced at $600. And, you did a bit of work on JLE. So I think we talked about them, about that book and your work on that the first time around. So what was it like getting to work on this title?
Oh, it was it was fun. But when I got into comics, the one thing I didn't want to do was a team book, and so my third big job at DC is Invasion #3, and then right into Justice League Europe. So I had to, I guess, manage my expectations and dive into it. I had to draw Paris in the first, in multiple issues, which was difficult because I wasn't familiar with that architecture. So it was a learning experience. I wish I knew how much fun this book was while I was doing it. I mean, it got more fun at this point with the stories and with how I was, changing up my style and interpreting things. But I was really lucky to stumble into that, and it's just a great, fun comic book. I wish they'd do comics more like this today. At least some of them.
Well, I mean, for being intimidated or not wanting to do a team book, you did pretty well on it.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah. So Chip says that you made Metamorpho look cool.
I just couldn't draw that lumpy. They had. I just couldn't do it, and they didn't argue with me, so I just kept doing it my way.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Let's see. We'll take a look at lot 13 next. This one, I think when I got your notes, it was listed as 17, and as I dug around looking for the printed piece, it was actually 7. But there was a 1 right in front of it on the original art. So this is actually from JLE 7.
It's probably a 7, and then they wrote over it 10.
Yeah,
I didn't notice.
That's okay. I was trying to read through some of the books, so that's why I was kind of enjoying it. I was disappointed when I couldn't find this page, so I dug around and found it. But this one's $400, and again, it's funny. I mean, you can see when you look at those pencil pieces we looked at earlier, you can see how that it gets translated into these ink pieces here. Just the the way you're handling stuff.
Yep, I was doing a lot more rendering at this point. And this was a darker story, so I did a lot more blacks and, you know, shadowed faces and different things. And good old Teasdale there. Such a fun thing. And I love the look of that Zipatone there in the middle. All aged.
Yeah, that's a pretty accurate scan as well. It's a little yellowed, but yeah, I mean, at this stage of the game, it kind of accentuates the page. So very nice.
All that stuff.
All right, well, this one's $400 for lot 13, and then we have I think we have this is the last JLE page that we've got. This is from issue 19, page 14, and it's priced at $750. You can see the printed image on the left there, and it has it's hard to see them all, but there are a lot of characters in that third panel.
Yep, they're all in there, and then there's a decent shot of Cap, sort of, and that's the character there in the jacket is, what's his name? Blue Jay. In panels 1 and 2, and he's actually in 3, 4, and 5. But in Silver Sorceress, which they colored golden and red. Never understand that.
Did you write silver beside it?
Like, they knew her name, so.
Wow. Yeah. I don't know. We've seen colorists do some strange things, you know, in the history of comics. But and it usually involves metallic related characters, right? Whether it's Colossus or whatnot. Yep. Coloring mistakes tend to happen on those types of characters, except Iron Man.
Yeah, he's a little simpler. But I miss those old days of the sort of flat color, and it's kind of fun. Printed on newsprint.
Mm-hmm.
I'll always love that.
Well, it always reminds me of late 80s, all 90s, you know, coloring style. But there's something to it. I agree with you.
Yeah, something magical, and probably just because I grew up with it. So, you know, you and I both did. So it's got that nostalgia for us.
Now this next one's a beauty, and it's drawn on a little bit smaller paper, but and I was going to ask you, you know, what was the decision making on the paper size? But this is from Batman Legends of the Dark Knight issue 200, and it's just a great Joker image in the bottom panel, and in the second panel, it's fantastic as well. So, I mean, this must have been a lot of fun to work on.
It was a blast. It was originally 2 issues, and when I finished, I guess they decided to make it an oversized 200th issue. So I actually did 2 covers for it, but only 1 was printed. But yeah, what a great story. I can't believe I got to do Joker and Batman. What a blast. And this is the only Joker page I have left of that story. But just a great story. I had such a blast. I actually lucked out with the 2 Legends of the Dark Knight books I did, but I just love drawing the Joker. And
now, is this one inked by you, or? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, inked by moi. And I started working smaller on my second turn at Acclaim, mostly because everything was so tight and anal, and there wasn't a need for reduction anymore in the art, you know, to tighten it up. And style is so prevalent, penciling style and everything else had become so strong through the 90s that I just didn't see the need to pencil, you know, 11 by 17 or 10 by 15 actual page size. But so I started working smaller, and you just can't tell the difference when it's printed.
No, not at all. I mean, and there's several artists that work on about the same size. You know, All Red works on a smaller format most of the time. And there's some artists out there are working on twice ups these days. It's all a matter of preference, you know. I mean, yeah. But I'll tell you, it was so hard to read whoever when you ink this, man. I don't know what you used when you inked the the title and the page number. It's just so fine. It was.
I ink everything with microns and Tombow brushes. You know, I don't use any, you know, quote classic real tools anymore. Just just all the permanent ink markers and brushes. So,
Well, this one's fantastic to see, and
yeah.
I have him in person with me, so I can tell you that yeah, from experience, yeah, this is a really really beautiful piece. Now the next one is a recreation. So this is
Yeah.
lot 16, priced at 3,000. Uh, just yeah, this is for me. This is like one of the images when I think of you. I think about this this Batman image for me. I don't know why, and because I'm not even a DC guy, but when I think of your work, I always remember this cover. I mean, the cape is has so much life to it, and it's just amazing. And again, it's back to kind of what Margaret said earlier. You draw very distinct male characters, and so this thing just screams Bart Sears when I see it.
Well, it was fun actually recreating this one with the actual logos in it, and so that was kind of a blast. Never done that before. But when I was drawing this first run of Dark Knight, in my mind I was drawing Batman as people would remember him, not necessarily how he looked, but how anyone that came across him would remember him in their mind, just this kind of lithe hulking brute. So that's what I went with. It was fun.
So I mean, so you did hand draw all of the logo, and because actually this is one I didn't get to look at too closely when they came in, but yeah.
The only thing I didn't do is the number 23 October 91. I created that and printed it out and pasted it down. If you want to tear that off, you can see where I tried to do it by hand, but it was awful, so I had to do something.
You're right. Nope, I'm looking at it right now. It's it's fine. I wouldn't have wanted you to try to do that part, but it probably would have come out as good as you would have liked. But yeah, no, everything else is 100% on the board. That's fantastic.
Thanks, man.
And Tom says it's his favorite as well.
Oh, thanks,
Tom. It does belong on a wall. It's got wall power. All right, so that was lot 16. And we have another Dark Knight page. This is from issue 23, and of course the same one we're looking at right there with the cover recreation. So this is page 3 from that book on 11x17, priced at $500, and some interesting story. I read this issue as well, so to try to get me up to speed on some of this, but yeah, really it was an interesting storyline.
Yep. The young gang of people wanted to be like Batman and fight crime. That's a blast. And there's Batman / Bruce at the bottom.
Yeah, he took a beating. For those who don't remember this one.
And of course, you got Gordon in there as well.
So yeah,
loved doing that book.
Well, this one is priced at $500 for lot 17, and it is nuts. Chip Core, yeah, he's right. Well, let's see. This is this next piece. I was going alphabetical. I could have put this one as like one of the first pieces, but this is not a published piece, but the Power Girl Supergirl pinup on 8.5 by 11 Bristol, and it's priced at $350. Drawn exactly as we, remember you drawing powerful female characters here. So
I guess that's her new costume with the jacket, but I prefer the classic.
Mm-hmm.
And
this was it wasn't dated, but I assume this was recent.
Yeah, this was pretty recent. One of those I'd seen that there was a new Supergirl costume. And so I checked to see if there was a new Power Girl costume, and there was. So I decided to just do a little mashup of those. Well, not a mashup, but a little drawing of those two. It was just for fun.
Well, it is very nice, and it's lot 18 at $350. Now we've actually got some Marvel artwork to look at, some published, and also one commission style, like cover quality piece. So we'll take a look at those. Right now, lot 19 is from Spider-Woman number 4, page 12, and on the smaller format, 13 by 8.5. This one's priced at $700, and I mean, you did a fair amount of work on Spider-Woman for Marvel, and
Yep.
how did that come about? Because Marvel wasn't always like a regular, place for you to do work with. So, I mean, was it
Trying
the?
to remember how that came about. I honestly don't remember. I truly don't remember how I got onto that book. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird. But I
Well,
had
that's what I thought.
all the Spider-Woman stars in it, and Madam Web and no, I can't remember any names, of course. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Had Spider-Man in the first couple issues, and it was strange because Spider-Woman, who was a teenage girl, had a different costume, at least one in every issue, which was I don't know. I guess that was John Byrne's idea. I don't really know, but that's what he did. And it was interesting how he wrote the scripts for this. He just wrote a series of sentences, and there'd be between, I'd say, 150 and 180 sentences, and I had to make those into a 22-page story. So I had a lot of freedom, which was great, and it was really a blast to work on and lay out. And actually, this is the only book that got me a movie credit. I guess I got a credit in Madam Web, so kind of weird.
I gosh, I would have thought you would have had a credit or two before that, but
No.
so that's interesting. So John, a guy who you think would be far more visual than that, just gave you lots of lines of dialogue with no other.
It might have been action. There was probably action, and a lot of the dialogue was later. So it
Right.
was, I think lines of action, and I would decide how best to draw that, whether it was one panel, two panels, or three panels, or if two lines could be one panel. So it gave me a lot of freedom to tell the story. Well, I've always taken any script I got and done whatever I felt like with it, because I felt once the script's written, it's my job to tell that story the best way I can. And this was really no different. There was just a lot less suggested direction. So it was great.
All right. Well, this is lot 19. Lot 20 is up next, and this one's priced at 700. This is a nice pinup, and I did see a question that got answered. Delight asked if you had ever drawn the Silver Surfer book, and Chip answered for us. It was only the one issue, right?
Yep, I'm supposed to do the whole thing, but that was at the time I was had the first Ominous Press, and I should have never actually taken that job, but under pressure I did, and I wasn't able to continue. So that was always a regret, because I love Surfer, and I got to draw the Fantastic Four and stuff, and there was just never time.
Well, that's too bad. So if you're is a Surfer a character you wouldn't mind getting to draw one day? And,
oh yeah, he'd be great.
Yeah.
He'd be great. Him and the Fantastic Four together, awesome. So, yeah, there's another one of her costumes. So much fun.
Well, you said that with the costume changes and everything. I mean, were those coming from you? Were they coming? Who would be telling you which costume for which issue? Is that from John, or how did that work?
No, John would. I don't think there was probably some direction for some of the costumes, but I honestly don't recall how much, or if there was. It was just the mandate that she looked different all the time, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And I see people ask about Silver Surfer, which issue? I think that was 93, maybe. Yeah, I think it was 93. All right. Yeah. Well, there you go. Chip has confirmed it for us.
Thanks, Chip.
All right. So here's that's lot 20, and we've got two other pages from Spider-Woman. So this is a DPS, and it's from issue 5, pages 2 and 3. Price at $1,100. It's 13 by 17, so it's two of the smaller boards together, and she's kind of falling down and making those spider legs pop out at the last minute before
four spider legs. which was weird and crazy. These hairy spider legs. But and again, another costume.
That had to be tricky for the readers and for you.
Yeah. Somehow it made sense. I guess mostly I kept her head pretty and hair the same, so she was easily recognizable that way. But yeah, you had to, I don't know, you had to pay attention or I don't know. It was interesting. I've never seen a book that did that before. So it was pretty cool. Plus, she was in costume a lot in the book. I mean, there was a few pages of her out of costume, but mostly she was in costume. And most of the books, the issues, which is kind of how I think a superhero comic should be. So,
Well, this one's a good one. I actually took it out of the bag to see how the DPS looked. It was very nice. And so is this next one. It's this one is lot 22. It's from issue 11, page 12. And I read this issue because I just had to figure out what the heck was going on in this image with Rhino and everything else. But yes, exactly. This is it. I mean, the whole story was pretty crazy, but really, really a fun read. So this one was priced at $800 for this piece, but yeah, I love this one, man.
it was nuts. Every issue was nuts of the Spider Woman, though. Really, she fought a werewolf in one. I don't even know what the heck was going on, but what a blast!
And I think I see a costume change again.
Yep, different costume. I don't know if the webbing between her body and her arm was consistent. I don't know. I don't recall.
Yeah, well, this turned out very nice. A venomized rhino. Yep. It says Chip, but very cool. Very, very well done. Let me see here. Oh, yeah, that we have, I guess this would be like the last Marvel piece that you put together. This was that, I'm assuming this was for fun.
Yep.
But
This was
very appropriately timed with the Deadpool Wolverine movie coming out, right?
Yep. I like to do these series of Wolverine with cigars and different characters. This is the third I've done in that vein, and he's just tired of that mouth.
Well, he does have the cigar down there, though. You know, even though he is beheaded temporarily. I mean, yeah, this could be a variant cover to that new series coming out. Yeah, Marcus likes to say sick when he sees crazy artwork, but this one probably fits right in there. It's but it's a beheading again, Bart. This you know, this is a something that you live by.
Yeah, I just can't help it. It's my early, bringing up through Conan. We're always heads flying.
Yeah, he's getting the finger from Deadpool down there as well.
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome.
With the one
Great analysis, Chip. Yeah.
Thank you.
Know you. All right. Well, this one's at $2,500, and I know that you know, if you were to get commissioned at a show, if you were doing cover quality 11 by 17s, I mean, this is basically right where you started. So
yeah,
I would. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So that this is right in line with everything. So very, very, very nicely done. And again, I got to see this one in person. It's great. Yeah, I love the one finger salute, says Ken Carter. All right, cool. And Delight says that there's a copy of the Silver Surfer '93 cover on Comic Art Fans. I don't think I realized that. I'll have to go check after the show's over. All right, we got 5 more pieces left. The last 4 are from the Valiant run. So we have this one from Image. So this is lot 24, Violator, issue 1, page 20. Alan Moore, I think, wrote this one, right? Yeah.
And he was nuts because he not only wrote a really thick typed out script. It was the thickest script I've ever gotten for a comic. But he also did his own 8.5 by 11 thumbnails of every page that he included with the script. So there was a lot of information. It was really, really, really detailed script. And he wanted to draw it too, I guess. So he did, and it was nuts. It was nuts, and that story is just sick. I don't know how many out there have read it, but it was really, really sick.
I read up to this page. I can tell you that because I was very curious. I was like, wow, what is going on here? Because I had never read Violator before, but yeah, it was a read, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Hoarders High did claim this one ahead of Rich Donnelly. I see in the chat, so thank you, Hoarders High. But that's interesting. So he literally had drawn thumbnails for every page.
Yeah, well, not thumbnails. He did them 8.5 by 11, or maybe they were smaller. I think maybe he did 2 pages on each piece of 8.5 by 11. So they were like, I don't know, 3 by 4 or 3 by 5 or something like that. I probably got them somewhere.
You know what? If you did, I would definitely hold on to those.
Yeah.
I don't think. I mean, I've heard that that in a lot of cases he would do that. I didn't realize they were so large, but gosh, that would be. I don't think I've ever seen a Alan Moore script with storyboard. Where he's actually laying out the pages. That would be pretty amazing.
If I come across it, I'll send you a copy. I do actually.
I'd love to see
Giffen script for JLE 22, his original, 8.5 by 11 hand drawn story. So that's really cool. I just saw that the other day.
Man, yeah, you gotta put those in a safe somewhere.
Yeah,
that's the kind of comic history that, again, I mean, I've never seen one, and I'd have to believe there'd be a lot of, people even outside of the original art collecting community that would love to see stuff like that. Wow. Yeah. So if you, take a picture, send it my way. I'd love to see it. Oh man. All right. So we do only have 4 pieces left here, everybody. And these are the Valiant pieces. And we actually I was doing a preview of these the other day, Bart, and Bob Layton was in the chat actually, and he even looked at one of the exos without being able to even look at it close enough and said something like, "That's I think that's from 14 or 15." So he remembers those days as well.
Yeah.
Of course.
He's a good dude.
So involved. I mean, he inked you. Did he ink you a few times on the cover? Okay.
Cover of 14. Yeah, the first Exo cover. Yep.
And we have a page, I think, from 14. So the first 2 pieces we're going to look at are from Turok, though, and they're both unbelievable pages. So this is from Turok 1. So lot 25, priced at $3,500 on 11 by 17. But my goodness, what a great image, Bart. I mean, I didn't read. I hate to say I didn't read it when it was coming out, but boy, you were meant to draw this book. I'll tell you, it's this page alone, and the next one we're going to look at they're just beautiful works of art. I mean, you slayed it when you were working on these.
Randy kicked the crap out of the inks too, man. It's just beautiful stuff.
I mean, when you were doing this, and working with Randy, did you kind of feel like this is one I gotta, we gotta really do a good job on? I mean, it's it's the first book out.
I was very what's the word? Definitely wanted to really knock Exo and Turok out of the park.
Yeah.
I really wanted to make those special, and Randy was the guy at the time for that. We had just come off. We hadn't just come off. He had inked, a lot of Justice League, and I think he did a bunch of the Eclipso thing, and he didn't work on the monthly. And then we got back together for Exo and Turok, and unfortunately, it didn't last long, but it was great stuff.
Yeah, no, it certainly, again, I'm just blown away when I saw the pages in person. When you sent me the scans, they were fantastic, but to actually see the artworks it's a totally different issue. But this is beautiful. And Southern Comic Geek says, I must be fiscally responsible. Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't know if you were here at the beginning, Southern Comic Geek, but we would do time payments on the pieces if we needed to. Let's see. This is, why don't we show the other page too? Because it's funny. I love a good, page layout and storytelling on a page. And as much as I love that first page, I love this. this page is fantastic. I love the silhouette work in the bottom with the inside panels there. I mean, this is just wonderful. I mean, again, this is Turok from issue 2. It's page 4. It's priced at $3,000, but yeah, it's just so striking. I mean, I feel like you had to have been having a really good time working on this book, because like you said, it ties kind of back into your love of Conan and that kind of storytelling, and you get to work in a world that kind of crosses over that and into others as well.
Yep. I mean, Exo and Turok was kind of made for me. The metal and the sort of barbaric stuff. It was a blast, and I much prefer doing storytelling pages over pinups and covers, just because you can do a page like this where you can use really graphic elements, and you've got to guide the reader through what's happening. That's what I love about comics.
Well, yeah, I just had to go back and look at the original, because I love this page a lot. And it's just the inking that he was able to do on this, not only does it just complement your work, but it's just so precise. I love the kind of chiseled feel that he gets with with his line quality here.
And he pushes, he doesn't pull. All those lines are pushed away from his body, not pulled towards. It's crazy how he inks.
Huh. I never even, that's, wow. Okay, now I'm going to look at that piece a little bit more.
You got to see it. It's just crazy.
Now, is this, were these pieces that you had that came in with that other set, or are these ones that you've...
Strangely, these 10 Valiant pieces, another guy I had them for like 30 years, and I had forgot he had them. And I just got these 2 weeks ago in Rochester, New York, at a show. He was like, "Hey, I got these pages." I'm like, "What pages?" So he brought this nicely wrapped little package, and this is some of what was in it, which I was thrilled to see again. I had no idea, no memory of it. So,
all right. Cool. Well, this is, and I guess I didn't realize it before, but I guess maybe a word balloon or two might have fallen off. I didn't see that originally, but yeah, but that's okay. I mean, for people who are purists, they can always recreate a word balloon here or there, or do an overlay, something like that. But all right, but this is lot 26, priced at $3,000, and we got 2 Exo pages to look at next. And the first one is from issue 14. We were just mentioning. So this is lot 27, priced at $900 on 11 by 17. The word balloons on this one definitely have come off, and I don't think they were in the bag, but it is what you have to deal with when you're working, when you have pages that are 30 years old. I mean, you don't always get them, but again, no Exo. This is this time period for you, like you said, doing 14. I mean, Bob saw this page and he immediately was like, "I'm pretty sure this is 14. It could be 15." But I mean, does this stuff kind of bring you back to that era working with them?
Oh yeah, yep. It's I look at some of them and I can't believe the amount of work I put into them. It was crazy, and I remember doing them, and how stressful it was, and how many hours and days I would put into. A page like this was 2 days easy.
Mm-hmm.
And this wasn't even one of the more involved ones. So, and it didn't have Exo in it. I mean, he's splashing into the pool behind him there, but you can't see anything until the next page. But
right.
But this was Ken. It was so much fun, and I love that those first few years of Valiant books were awesome. Just all the stories were I found really interesting. I was lucky when I started working on Exo, they sent me everything they published to date. So I got to read all that stuff, and it was really solid stories.
Well, this one was picked up by Hoarder's Hide as well. We appreciate that. Yeah. Let's see. We have one more piece to look at, and this is from Exo as well. The next issue is issue 15, page 7. and you get Exo and Turok on this one. I read this the other day as well, and it was a fun read. Get the two of them together. This one was $1,500. So, the word balloons. Maybe the words the balloons on this one were maybe done differently. I don't know if there was an overlay or not on that one.
I can't remember. I can't remember because on the first page, I know they pasted in the word balloons, and maybe they went from old rubber cement, which dries out and they fall off, to a more archival kind of glue, like a spray mount or something. So long ago, I don't even remember. And now I don't even remember looking at the page and what was on it.
Yeah, because I don't know how they did it. Maybe this was like early digital lettering or something.
Yeah, I think they were doing the lettering digitally.
The word balloons are all drawn on the page, and they're very clean, and and there's definitely was not a paste up on them. So, okay, they're not drawn on the page. They were drawn on something and pasted down, because I can see your art underneath it. So, yeah. Interesting. All right. Well, this one was $1,500, and it was the last lot that we get to look at today, lot 28. Bart's what is that? Bart's dinosaurs probably inspired Velociraptors.
I should have got a credit in that movie then.
Yeah, exactly. All 6 of them or whatever, right? that is very true. All right. Well, we've gotten to see all of the pieces that we were able to bring to the show today. We only had 3 of them sell, so I know I'm going to be able to put all of these onto CAF and get them into the CAF classifieds right after we're done here, so that they will go out to all the members on CAF as pieces that are available.
Did somebody just claim 25?
I'm sorry. I was looking at the different slide there. Yeah, Justin Porter picked up claim lot 25. That was the Turok 1 page.
Awesome.
And all right. I those Turok pages just are amazing. And I Justin, Southern Comic Geek, you guys picking up.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, they're stunning, absolutely stunning pages, Bart. I mean, well then, congrats to both of you guys. We appreciate it. See, you just needed one to tip the other one, and I get it. It's sometimes when because both those pages were very very beautiful. So there you go. I guess now we have 5 out of 5 sales today. So like I mentioned, I'm going to be putting the 23 other pieces onto CAF right after the show, so that they'll have a chance to go out to the whole community of comic art fans. But we appreciate everybody who claimed artworks today, and
thanks everybody for watching.
And I'll do a recap email as well, showing the pieces that are still available for those who come in late. So I would like to mention that we know that lots of people watch the show after the fact because they can't tune in live. If you saw any lots today as well and you're not on CAF or get the email, feel free to shoot me an email to bill@comicartfans.com. I'll let you know if the piece is still available, and we can chat after the show as far as working out payment. And again, for those of you who claimed artworks today, shoot me the email after the show and we'll work on those things right away. Bart, again, we shouldn't wait 2 years to do this again, but I appreciate you taking the time. And I if you find those Alan Moore pieces, I'd love to see a scan or 2 of those. Those would be pretty cool.
You bet. I'll see if I can find them.
And your sculpture too. I want to see some of that.
You got it.
All right. Well, listen, everybody, we appreciate you hanging out with us on a Saturday afternoon, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. And we'll of course see you very sometime soon, hopefully with a better internet connection for me. Thanks again, Bart.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Bill.